everyone. Thanks for being here at PostCon. I'm Tricia. Joining me is Megan, and we represent Ecosystem Product. Before we dive in, I just want to say, it's the last session. You made it. Nothing but the after party left. So I'm going to kick this session off with just a few simple questions. Feel free to raise your hand or just shout out loud. Let's bring the energy. Again, it's gonna be easy. I'm gonna start off easy. Who here is a developer? All right, not surprising. Told you it was easy. We are at PostCon, so yeah. But just think about all of the innovative things that we could do with all the brains in here. I could make, some kind of Captain Planet reference, like, with all of our powers combined. Everyone familiar? Yeah? No? Oh, it was one of my favorites. Come on, all right. How about Dr. Evil? Just better, all right. Anyway, for everyone who raised their hands, thank you. But tell me, what % of your day is spent writing code? 10? 10%? Anyone else? 5? All right. All right, cool. What about troubleshooting issues or testing features? 20. All right, getting up there. Now, how much time do you spend discussing, communicating, sharing updates with your team? 100. All right, yeah. Between these 3 questions, I think we got over 100, but just who's counting? We pretty much covered the whole day. Now, Tootsie Roll question. How many windows or tabs does it take to solve a problem and communicate it? 5, 10, 50? Too many. 50. Kidding. Well, yeah, sort of. Anyone that knows me knows I have an embarrassing amount of tabs and that my computer hates me. So all joking aside, there are some real problems here. Building APIs, troubleshooting issues, this is by nature a collaborative process. But with all the hoops and all the tools, things just move a lot slower than we would all like them to. For some of you who just came from Taylor and Akshay's talk, you've already heard all of the reasons why collaborating across teams when building APIs is so important. Now, we want to talk about how collaboration across tools can make working together so much easier. I'm going to start with integrations and ecosystem and talk about where the biggest opportunities are. And then I'm going to pass it off to Megan and our amazing panel to talk about their experiences working with their own teams and how integrations with Postman will be game changers for devs everywhere. At Postman, we've always been developer first. From our early days as a Chrome extension, we were born from taking the friction out of testing APIs. We want to do more of that. And we believe there's a real opportunity to take even more friction out of the development lifecycle so you can do more of what you actually want to do, which is to solve real customer problems. And here's where you told us that the friction is. From our integration survey that had over 7,000 responses, thank you, by the way, our state of the API report, our GitHub issue tracker, you've said you want collections to stay up to date with recent changes. You have distributed teams, and it's really hard to stay aligned. You want to use your own tools, and you want to automate processes with integrations. And man, API security is top of mind, and you want to make sure that your APIs are secure when you're building and testing them. Here are the top 3 areas we're tackling first. We want to help you build high-quality, secure, and compliant APIs that pass the bar the first time around. We want to help you troubleshoot and test issues faster than ever before. And we want to help you work smarter, not harder, by helping you stay on top of changes so you can stay in lockstep with your team. The opportunity is kind of big. It's a big one. So to highlight the problem another way, let's walk through an example of what a troubleshooting use case or workflow may look like for you today. Everyone, let's meet Emily, a software developer who uses Postman amongst a bunch of other tools. Emily is working on a new feature when she suddenly gets that pesky Slack notification about a new Jira issue. Emily clicks on the notification to review the ticket. She then tracks down the API in her team's API catalog. She finds it, and then looks for the collection in Postman to see what it does and how it works. But she can't find the collection that's the real one. So she opens Github to find the co-noder. She tracks them down and messages them on Slack to see if they can help her locate the right collection. She waits for them to respond, and to kill a little bit of time, she decides to try today's Wordle and shocks herself that she got the word in 4 guesses. Go, Emily. And in that time, her coworker responded and sent her to the right collection to work from. So she starts testing requests and identifies the issue, but guess what? It seems like it's due to a dependency on another API. So she starts the whole process all over again. Productivity is low, but hey, Wordle usage is pretty high. And this is all painful even before any code is written. Any PR is raised and pipeline is run. Any documentation is updated. And any production tests are combed through. Does this, sound familiar to anyone? Yeah? We hear you. This is awful. This is awful, right? This is terrible. So that's why we're starting here. With the help of our partners, we want to help you build more secure APIs, reproduce and troubleshoot issues faster, and help you and your team stay on top of changes. Let's talk security. It's tough being a developer on the receiving end of a security-related ticket. It's even worse when you find out later that the issue could have been prevented had you known sooner. With integrations from top API security leaders, Emily can now shift left by getting access to security results to see any exceptions she needs to address before she takes on that next task. With collection-level insights, she can make sure her API updates will always be fully compliant with her company's security policies. No more tickets. No more tickets. Okay. All right. Let's face it. Testing and troubleshooting is often more time-consuming than it really should be. That's why we're announcing integrations with top IDEs and API gateways to help you build and test more quickly. With the Postman VS Code extension, Emily can now test her APIs in Postman using the same application she used to develop them. And with integrations with top API gateways, Emily will soon be able to pull down collections and environment variables directly from the gateway so she can reproduce issues with ease. It's hard enough building APIs. It's a whole other challenge to keep your teams up to date on all of the changes. With our updated integration with GitHub, Emily can effortlessly sync collections from her GitHub branches in real time and visually spot diffs in PR reviews. With Slack and Teams, communication is a breeze. Now, Emily can troubleshoot with her team by sharing requests and responses, and she also gets notified when new updates are made to her team's workspace. And with new Jira updates, Emily is now able to create issues from Postman with request and response data auto-populated in the ticket. Woo! No more screenshots. right? It's a big one. And when Emily's done with her updates with integrations from top dev portal tools, Emily can now generate reference docs and SDKs directly from that updated collection, notifying her teammates and customers about what's new. It's really hard. That was a lot, I know. It's really hard to imagine what this new future looks like. So let's go back to where we started. Like before, Emily is working hard on a new feature when she gets tagged into a production issue. She loads the ticket to get details, but this time, instead of chasing down more information to reproduce that issue, Jira shows all of the right context and links her directly to the request and the response. So with one click, she's able to reproduce that issue immediately. Wanting to verify if that error exists also on beta? Emily uses her team's integration with their API gateway. And after selecting the API and environment, she's able to create the collection, send a request, and reproduce the error in seconds. She is even able to see when the API was last deployed to help her narrow down what the issue was and use that gateway and create an environment to test other requests. So Emily gets to work. She quickly isolates the issue and makes improvements to the code. She publishes a new branch with the changes and then raises a PR. She forks that collection that is connected to the main branch in GitHub and makes her changes to it. She knows that her collection updates are being tracked and associated with her GitHub pull request, and that when that PR is merged, her collection changes will too. All the updates will be reflected on the main branch in her team's shared workspace, keeping everything in sync and up to date. And thanks to Postman's CI configuration for GitHub Actions, Emily sees that her smoke tests are already running via the pipeline. And what's even better is that the changes were automatically communicated to her teams via Slack. So she doesn't have to. She doesn't have to switch context, and she can continue bringing her updated API across the finish line. Emily goes to the updated collection and quickly requests a final security check to make sure everything is compliant and good to go. And voila. The API is above the score threshold, and any outstanding issues are minor. Go, Emily. Then, with a single click, she's able to set her team and her customers up for success to adopt her new version. Emily is able to seamlessly generate API reference docs and SDKs to kickstart the learning and adoption process without ever leaving Postman. Guess what? She's done. That was so much easier than before, right? Productivity is sky high. Wordle usage, watch out, it's at an all-time low. Now, ecosystem apps are solutions, but the bigger part of this is recognizing friction and challenging the status quo. Some of these integrations are available today, and some are coming soon, and you can get on the wait list for them. So if you have an integration request or you want to see which integrations we support, snap a picture of this QR code. So with that in mind, I'd love to welcome Megan to the stage, who will introduce our amazing panel.
Hello, everybody. All right, last little portion of the session today. I'm Megan. I work in product at Postman, and I am delighted to be joined by Ori Goldberg, who's the co-founder and CTO of Pint, one of the security tools that you just saw, Jarrett Moses, who goes by Moses, an engineering leader at ReadMe, and Ming Zhu, the marketplace specialist solutions architect at Amazon Web Services. Each of these wonderful panelists has a couple different hats they're wearing today. They are both first-hand experts in API development, so we're going to start there with our conversation. And then they also, as you just heard from Tricia, have developed some really cool integrations, and so they're going to have an opportunity to share a little bit more with you of what they've built for your benefit. And then stick around afterwards if you have any questions. So we won't have open Q&A on the stage, but we'll be hanging out. We are the last session closing this thing down. So definitely come up if you have any questions for us or want to get started with these integrations. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty of APIs, let's talk about Emily's journey. So she went from very manual to a magical experience, insofar as magical is defined by less time and effort, although I am sad that there's not as much Wordle in her life, but that can be a downtime activity. So let's do a quick round, just so you can get to know the panelists of this or that magic theme. And we're in Los Angeles, so it's hard to get around here. If you could snap your fingers and your primary mode of transportation could be a unicorn or a flying car, what would you pick?
So, as much as I love Pint being a unicorn, I would go with a flying car, a Ford Anglia, actually.
Oh, specific, okay.
I think I'd have to go with the unicorn on that one. Sometimes you just got to be seen.
Yeah.
I'm sure unicorn, because I have fear of height. I can't go high. I can't ride roller coaster even.
Oh, that's great. Well, okay, next question. You have to live someplace as a magical character. Are you in a castle on a hill, maybe around Griffith Observatory, or are you in a secret lair, maybe with like pathways under the city of LA so you can get places fast?
Castle on a hill. I need to park my Ford Anglia somewhere.
Yeah, okay.
I've got to go with the cave. That's where the best wine is found.
The best wine, okay.
I like the hill because I'm living on the hill right now, so I love the hill.
That's great. I live in San Francisco, so I resonate with that. Last question of the fun variety is, would you rather have a magic lamp that grants 3 wishes instantaneously, or a magic wand that with 7 grueling years at a wizarding academy gives you unlimited wishes?
I wasn't very good at the school, so I'll go with the lamp.
The lamp. Okay, fair.
I'm going to go with the lamp so I can get the other ones through my wishes.
Oh.
Shortcuts.
Shortcuts, okay.
Oh, for sure, 3 wishes, because I don't have many wishes. I'm very happy, so.
Oh, I like that. Wow, inspiring. Yeah, and hopefully all the ideas that we have for you guys today do not take 7 years at a Wizarding Academy to master. We're all about efficiencies. So let's get started. We talked about a few of the challenges that come up with API development. So 3 of the ones that Tricia brought up were the fact that it can be really hard to keep a team in the loop and following the latest happenings in your APIs. We also talked about troubleshooting as a difficult element if you're just doing it in a silo and not getting other people tagged in to help you resolve it faster. And then a third one was around the need for creating it quality from the beginning so that you're not having to do a lot of remedial effort later on. And so I'm just curious, Moses, maybe we can start with you. How does that resonate with some of the challenges you faced as an API developer and an engineering manager, and to what extent are those the set of issues, or are there additional issues you're facing?
No, those definitely have been. At ReadMe, we just recently released our new refactored product, and that was a few different iterations. We tried to make sure we went over it. And after doing that, we rewrote our APIs. One of the things that really helped us was having those documented, in our system, but as well as having Postman, so that when we did that, our front-end engineers could rewrite without the back-end having to already have been created. They could write to the contract while we were still updating and changing. And vice versa with Postman, we were able to go through, and before the front end was able to catch up to certain APIs, we were able to go in, I can test this, I have an entry point. So having both of those things has been amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, anything you can do to unlock parallel workflows for teams is always good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Ming, how does that resonate? What are the types of issues that you guys have been dealing with, and how does Postman figure into your process of dealing with those issues?
A lot of time we talk about like developers' view, but actually people don't realize developing after that will be like internal testing, like ASAs or QAs, and how to make the testing seamless for the API developers and find the defects as fast as you can. That is actually a very big challenge. And by using Postman collections, the developers can build a perfect end-to-end workflow testing and pass that with credentials all set up to the ASAs and PSAs or the field ASAs. So because they know more scenarios than the developers sometimes, you can't just cover all the use cases. And with the feedback so fast coming back from all the testers, developers can fix all the defects in a very fast speed.
That's great. That's great. So, Ori, I think we were hearing about some of these things that are very scalable, which in AWS land is always a precondition because you guys have so many different partners and stakeholders you're dealing with. You have kind of a different problem, which is you're a smaller entity and you have a lot of distributed teams and geographies. And as much as we want to do the self-serve thing and allow people to go anywhere, to help themselves, there are benefits of serendipity when you can just be in the same office with someone, ask questions, have an impromptu meeting. So how do you kind of replicate that experience without having necessarily the luxury of everybody being co-located?
Yeah, so at Pint we're just a bit smaller than AWS, almost the same number. It's around the same figures. But yeah, so remote work is here to stay, and we need to face it, of course. And my R&D team is pretty much scattered across different geographies, so we needed to find a way to work together. And of course, Slack is like the main channel of communication. Probably you all also use it. Not just communicating with my team, but communicating with customers, running POCs, technical support to customers. So everything is going through Slack. Email is pretty much dead, hopefully. Nobody uses that. I give you an example. We had last year, we had a DNS issue, and the email was gone for a day, and the dev team didn't notice. Everybody else was running around crazy, but the dev team didn't notice. So just tells you that email is dead, at least for developers. And we also use the R&D team uses something called Gather, which is like a virtual office. I don't know if you know it. It's an awesome product. It's like, yeah, it's a virtual office.
We have one taker.
So easy. It's very easy to see like who's in the office and and tangling between different work hours, different work days. So I was skeptical at first, but it really works. And nice. The team feels like you're in the same office.
That's great.
It kind of bridges that.
That's great. I know some of us are big users of Loom because Postman also has teams everywhere. I think everybody here probably has people they need to collaborate with that are everywhere, and being able to record and have comments, that has been really helpful. We've talked a few times today in the keynote and earlier in this session about Slack. Our teams at Postman, where we're sharing collections, we tend to publish workspace updates. I feel like that's one of those little hidden secrets that not many people have really understood or tapped into yet in the product. But what's nice is you can send those workspace updates, connect a channel in Slack or Teams, and then just basically you're getting everybody who is consuming those APIs or who needs to collaborate on them aware of those latest changes. So yeah, it's great to have that combination of the self-serve stuff and anything you can do to bridge the distance so things don't feel quite so far away. So we've been talking about a few of these tips and tricks, but if you each had one tip to give people who are trying to really up their game on how they use APIs alongside integrations, what tip would you recommend?
So my take on that, and it was also reflected on the keynote this morning, don't neglect documenting your APIs. Automatically, if you can, that's the best way. So part of my job, I go to customers, and my customers are security teams, CISOs, AppSec, and I'm asking them the question, how many APIs do you have? You want us to secure APIs? How many APIs do you have? And usually the answer is yes, we have APIs, but they don't know how many APIs they have. So sometimes they will bring up some old Swagger file that was correct at some point in time, but that was long ago, so it's not updated. And then they need to go to the developers, and it's like a whole cycle. So your security teams have no idea how many APIs you have. And these are the guys that need to protect the doors, and they don't know how many doors you have. So document it automatically as possible.
Very similar, I would say document, but start with the API design and documentation first. A lot of times people make it the last thing they want to do, and it becomes extra work. But when you really unlock the power of doing that, like I said, you can have all your teams working simultaneously. Everyone's very clear. And then it stops being extra work and becomes the way you work. And that's really the cool thing, because the code lives and documentation often dies. And that's one of the things for ReadMe that we want to make sure that your documentation lives. So that would be my tip. It's helped many teams I've been on. It helped when we refactored our refactor before it was able to go live. It saved our butts a lot. So that's my one tip.
That's great.
I love the 2 tips these 2 guys gave. But I have one, which is very critical for AWS, is if you can, do not reinvent the wheel. Just give a quick example. We just released Partner Central APIs. It's for the custom CRM integrations. We released that API collections. That means you can write your own connector for any CRMs. Any CRMs. So you don't rely on any particular CRM brand system. But it's, of course, you can imagine, right? CRM is a very complicated system. How to do a custom integration so your customers can only work in one system, finish all the opportunity management, all the workflow. In our collection, we created the end-to-end, the complete workflow, even with simulation for AWS. Like, you can wear 2 hats, AWS and partner. You don't have to call AWS or schedule a meeting with your PSA or SA, hey, I need a great opportunity to be approved. We create the collections that you can do all integration on your own. So, and then we average Postman's great request and post response scripts. So all the variables are automatically populated one by one in a sequential order. So, and we provide beautiful documentation with workflow chart. So you can just have first-hand view of what you're supposed to do for the integration. So if you leverage that collections, fork it, and then you can bring in your CRM APIs in your collection and start to develop, it will save you tons of time.
Yeah.
So that's my tip.
Those are great. And for anyone who has public APIs, take a look at what AWS has done with their public API listings. They've done a lot of really great documentation, and it's great to see that leveraging all of the different capabilities of Postman to help bring people up to speed to get started with those. Well, so how excited, just by like applause or I don't know, some sign of enthusiasm, are you guys that there are these integrations that AWS, Pint, ReadMe, the other partners that you saw on the screen during Tricia's part, are you guys pretty excited that now we have some of these opportunities for automation and some time savings? Woo! Yeah. Yeah, it's super exciting. So thank you guys. Thank you, and thank you to all the partners who have spent time to build these with you all in mind, really wanting to make it a little bit easier to connect those tools that you guys use already to have some time savings. And so let's just go a little deeper on each of the ones that your teams have built. So we'll just kind of go down the line, and you can share a little bit about what your integration unlocks for everyone who's here that they should get started with. And as Tricia mentioned, there's a QR code. Come up to us afterwards if you want to get started with any of these integrations.
Yeah, so Pint is, we're building automatic API security testing, which runs fast and easy to integrate, and we build it with developers in mind. Because as a developer, you write your code or your prompt, not judging, and security is not on top of your mind, of course, because you have many things to do, but you still need to provide secure code and deploy secure code. So that's where Pint comes into place with amazing Postman integration that we are creating, you can run Pint security testing right from Postman, just right-click on a collection and run a security test. Because you just want, as a developer, you just want to make sure that the environment that you just deployed doesn't have any vulnerabilities or something that after a year will get deployed into production, then you have some troubles with the security team. And if you're a QA team, you can just automate it, just take Pint, put it on your CI/CD, have it run automatically. And then when you find an issue, you go back to developers and tell them, yeah, I hacked your app. No, fix it. And the new Postman integration, we're super excited about it because we used to have like a different approach a couple of years ago that I created some hack on top of Postman to run Pint. So now we're having an actual seamless integration into Postman, like a right click, run it, get the results into Postman, see if you have something bad, see if you've done something good, and go back to coding or vibe coding, whatever you do.
That's great.
We're excited about ours as well. At ReadMe, documentation obviously is very important. It's our bread and butter. So for us, it's important for us to allow you to update your APIs and your documentation at the same time. When you change your collections, when you make all the changes you need to make, you can click one button and that will update your documentation to reflect your latest. So whether you have hundreds of APIs and you're making changes to one, or you haven't created any documentation yet, you can hit that button and it will create all of your documents so that you have adoption, you have clarity, and more importantly, it's going to help you build trust, not amongst your teams, but just also amongst your customers. We've all gone to API documentation and been like, I don't quite know if I want to trust these people. We want people to trust you, so having those documents, the documentation up there is going to provide that, and this is going to make it seamless and easy.
Well, I was planning to talk about API, Amazon API Gateway, but Tricia did a great job, so I decided to change. So I'm very excited about integration we just did, which is the Partner Central API I just mentioned. The reason why I'm so excited because the Postman collections, the collections we post on the Postman network, provide such an easier route, and then especially with all the APIs provider, like HubSpot, Salesforce, all those top 5 CRM systems, they all have APIs posted on the Postman network. They publish on Postman network. It's verified publisher. You can just drag and drop to your own collection, and you're able to build a whole integration in lightning speed. And I'm excited, of course, I just started to use Flow. I don't know if you have ever tried the Flow. This afternoon, I did a great Flow, just integrating one CRM with our Partner Central API in an hour. I made a POC in an hour. So that is like amazing work. Think about how much time you're gonna save by leveraging the Postman collections, especially the scripts I mentioned. Also, the Postman collections can enable you the asynchronous call. So there is so many calls that are asynchronous, so you don't have to wait and execute and wait for the results. The collection itself, the folder structure, can enable you run the whole collections, the whole workflow while you're having a cup of coffee. So I'm extremely excited about the future integration leveraging Postman collections.
That's great. I think one of the themes that is cool about what each of your teams are building are just the fact that you're first and foremost big API developers yourselves, and in some cases have a lot of history with Postman. So you've been thinking about what are the things I wish were existing out there, and how can I quickly create them. And in like the case of Pint, you guys have had something for a couple of years, so you have an opportunity to continue to iterate and make it better. So I think that's something also kind of a call to action of, as you guys are working on your APIs, if you have ideas of things that we should be building, first of all, it could be you. You could be an app developer in our ecosystem, but there's also just ideas that we would love and welcome you guys to share with us, because it really starts with the people who are doing the API development to spot these really great opportunities. And with that, I'd be interested in, maybe you can answer our last question, Ori, about just what you're excited about as you look into the future. And of course, we have to talk a little bit about AI. To what extent do you see AI? Just a little bit. How does that change what you're thinking about building when it comes to integrations on Postman?
So, of course, AI brings us lots of new opportunities, and the way that we want the notion of shift left to work. Shift left means getting security as close to the developer as possible to find those issues before production. And of course, AI can really help us here. Now, I wouldn't trust AI with mission critical stuff like creating the attacks and understanding what happened, because an hallucinating agent won't help me here.
Yep.
I want deterministic results all the time. But we do want to see we want to see a place when it's all connect together. We call it like hack to fix. That's like our holy grail. We want, for example, for a developer run scan from Postman. If it finds a vulnerability, offer the way to correct it, do like an automatic pull request, see what needs to be changed to fix this issue, and just need to approve it. And we want to make it all work seamlessly together, because we just want developers to find these issues and move on with their lives, because in the end, it's just cybersecurity, okay? It's not, cybersecurity companies used to think that it's all about, that's the most important thing in the world, but it's just something that you need to be doing. But the most important thing is the product that you're building. Just make sure it's secured. So.
Yeah. I think that a theme is seamless. Like, we are looking to find opportunities to make things more efficient for your teams so that they're not having to do as much context switching and as much jumping between things. And there's a lot of change happening with AI and with everything else that's out there in the world, causing us to need to adapt. And sometimes riding the momentum that you can get from making those little improvements to how your team works. You know, when people get excited that, oh, I don't have to go and tell everybody in Slack every time this happens. Now it just automatically sends that update, or now I can get that context in the moment while I'm working on everything in Postman. Those are the little ahas that get people excited and maybe get them thinking a little bit bigger of, well, what if we did other things different? How could we really reconceive how we work and what we build? So I hope that thinking about these integrations is a step that kind of gets you on the path to some momentum. And like we said, you have an opportunity to try out in early access some of these integrations. Some of the other ones we've talked about today, like Slack, Microsoft Teams, Jira, those are already available on production, so you can get started with those like right now if you want. You can feel free to come on up, and I'm happy to help you. All of us are happy to help you understand what you need to get started. And with that, I think we have the 2 QR codes. So feel free, if you didn't get a chance to take a photo earlier, you have an opportunity to do so now. And feel free to come up afterwards and come and talk to us. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.